going back and watching Buffy, first of all.
Yeah.
How would you think the show would be received if it was today? You know, with everything going on, as far as everything trying to be politicized, everything trying to be cancel culture and all this, do you think the show would do just as good as it did back in the day today?
Very much so. And the reason I say that is because doing Fan Expo, doing conventions, I meet fans, and many of them are 14, 13, 12 years old, and they've just discovered Buffy, and they're over the moon about it. And, you know, Buffy, I'm not sure that there's a whole lot that is cancelable about the show. Some people might disagree with me about that. There may be a few exceptions, but in general, most of it was really subverting the lie that women can't fight back. And I used to produce theater in Chicago and Seattle, and we were subversive, which means that you're trying to divest the audience of lies they get taught in childhood, like violence works, or old people are boring, or you can buy your self-identity, all this stuff. And you're not trying to make people angry, but when they get uncomfortable, you know it's working, kind of thing.
Right.
And
sometimes a reaction is a reaction, regardless of.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, when someone is divesting me of something that is not right, and I know it on some level, I'm like, damn you, you know.
Yeah.
And Buffy was, you know, it's maybe not so never revolutionary, but it may not be so subversive these days to say that women can fight back. But when Buffy was made, it certainly was, and there were people that were very uncomfortable with that.
Sure.
I've been doing stunts long enough. I've you know, fighting the stunt doubles for Buffy. There's 3 of them, and they're black belts, and they could kill us, man. With like that, and they're not large people.
I feel you. I do jiu-jitsu. I got my master's.
Oh, me too.
He's 5'5".
Yeah.
I have never been able to beat that man.
No. It's training.
It's impossible.
Yeah. It's training. It's not body mass.
No.
How tall was Bruce Lee?
It's all technique. Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. It's all technique. Now, going back to Buffy, say, you know, back when it first started, women being able to kick ass and everything. Yeah. How was it like working with Sarah Michelle Gellar at that age, like 20 years old, super young, super fresh, coming in and take a lead role like that of a woman that kicks ass, and then all of a sudden it just spread like wildfire? How was that like?
Thank God for Sarah Gellar. If it had been anyone else in that role, I'm not sure that we could have lasted 7 years. She had come from daytime drama and had gotten an Emmy for it. And she was used to producing, you know, acting for content that was an hour every day. I mean, we get tired in television because we have to make an hour for every week. But when you do it for every day, you get proficient on a level that I still don't have that level of proficiency. And we filmed 12 to 20 hours a day. Like usually on a film or TV set, you film 12 and you're gone, because after 12 you have to pay the crew double. So 12, you know, that's a long day, but on Buffy, that was a minimum day. We never just went 12. It was 14, 16 all the time, 18, yes, and then 20 quite often. And she was in almost every scene. And I got burned to a crisp, and I wasn't in every scene. Spike was hardly ever there.
Sure.
But she was in the whole thing. And a lot of other people, myself included, might have buckled under that amount of work. You get tired I got tired on a level that I just didn't even understand existed.
I understand. Whenever it's totally completely different scenes, but talking about just me playing, let's just say 2-3 hours on stage.
Yeah.
3 hours, I'm done. I want to get out of there. I want to go home.
Yeah.
I want to sleep. I want to eat. You know, and sometimes like you don't want to eat before you play a show because then you want to have to go to the restroom in the middle of the set. So I'm sure it's. I don't know if it is kind of similar in a way.
No, I mean, it was bracing too, because I, like you, was used to doing live performance where you prepare all day and then you do the thing and you're ready for it. And it lasts 3 to 4, 1 to 4 hours. With me, it was live plays and, concerts, but mostly plays.
You also did theater.
Yeah, a lot. I did 100 plays before I came to Los Angeles. But in television, you're up at 3 a.m. and by 4 a.m. they're rolling on you, and you've gotten 4 hours of sleep.
Better be
And so,
ready.
yeah. So Sarah was never late. She never didn't have her lines down pat. She never missed her mark. She was just a freaking machine.
There's just something about people and their work ethic, especially when they show up early. They're the first ones to get there and the last ones to leave, and they always have everything done. There's just something about people like that in sports or whatever. You see that those are the people usually on top.
They communicate that they actually want to be there,
right?
Which is refreshing. Yeah,
right.
Very nice.
And you brought up Spike earlier. Speaking of Spike, what would you say that Spike's reaction would be to this whole pandemic, COVID, and all of that?
I think he'd love it. He'd love it because there'd be all these people walking around alone at night, not wanting to be with other people. And he would just be like, it's lunch.
It was a meal.
Yeah, like, well, put your iPod in there, listen to your music, get lost in your thoughts all alone at night. I'd love it, yeah. And it wouldn't affect him. The virus wouldn't, he was dead already. So I'm just like, yeah, it's great, yeah.
So you don't think you'd be grossed out eating people that are coughing away?
No, as long as the blood tastes the same.
As long as the blood is good, right?
Yeah, I don't think he's that picky.
My favorite thing about you as an actor is how you immerse yourself into these roles. Now, whenever you are reading, for example, for Spike or for Piccolo or for whatever character it is that you're playing, is there something that you take from each and every character that you played before and you bring it on, or do you like to start completely fresh? That's
a great question. I think it all builds on it, on stuff that came previously. Like, great example with Spike. They say in theater that you have to have fun. It's called a play for a reason. No one wants to watch actors work. They want to watch actors play very well. And so having fun is kind of the central theme. And I was playing a character that was having fun, so that was good, but he was having fun slaughtering people. And if you're playing the character, you really have to internalize that. You really have to come to peace with it on a deep level. Like, how could I imagine myself for real going out into the street and cutting someone's throat open and laughing about it? Yeah, and at that point, the comedy kind of goes away, and you're kind of horrified by that.
Because there are some moments in Buffy, it's like, okay, wait a second, stop laughing for a second.
Yeah. But I mean, even for the comedy to land, I have to make it real for myself. Otherwise, it's kind of cheesy. So that was weird. That was bracing because I didn't want to admit that I could have fun doing that. I don't know if any of us wanted to do that. But to your point, or to your question, I had just finished doing a Macbeth in Seattle, and I was playing Macbeth. And so to do that play, I did a bunch of research on soldier mentality, soldier psychology. And I found this one fact, which was that a lot of times on the battlefield, when a soldier kills someone else, it's actually very fun. There's a rush of endorphins and dopamine. And it is a very natural reaction. It's an animal reaction.
Sure, it's not you.
It's what?
It's like, it's not you that died, right?
I survived. You're gone. There's probably some part of us that's still a predator that gets off on that, But it is not. It's all of us. All human beings would have this reaction, or most of us would. And soldiers come back from war often, and they think they're the only one that felt that way, and they feel very guilty about it, and it can destroy their lives. And so it's really important to get soldiers talking to people after they come back to make sure they know they're not alone in that. So I took that information because I was playing, Macbeth is this professional soldier. So he goes out and, instead of going, to work and film television, he goes out and cuts people in half. That's just his job. And he's at peace with that. And so I had that piece of information, that experience when I got to Spike. I was like, okay, I've already played a character who's comfortable killing people for a good reason. And it was quite a bit extra to go for the thing that I would do it for fun. But I knew that me, James, would probably feel those endorphins and that dopamine if I ever killed someone, which I haven't. And so I could kind of make that bridge happen in my mind. So it kind of built.
So going back to Spike and talking about, having soul, do you think Spike would do well in a battlefield with the soul back and killing all those people, like actually being able to feel the emotions that he's feeling, do you think? Or do you think he'll be right at home?
I think he would be like every other human soldier. I think if he felt like he was doing it for the right reason, and for soldiers, the right reason is protecting your friends in your platoon. And if he felt like he was doing that, he would absolutely be able to do that very freaking well. And then he would probably deal with PTSD, and he would probably feel regret or he would probably have nightmares about the things that he did. But I think that if he felt like he was protecting the people around him, he would do it without hesitation.
So then when you talk about Macbeth, going from that to Spike, and then let's say, for example, from that to Zamasu, which is voice acting.
Yeah.
So how do you...
I'm so glad you mentioned Zamasu, because you mentioned Piccolo, and I was like,
I know.
First of all, sorry for that movie.
Let's not.
It's okay. I can admit it sucked. It's okay.
So how do you... Is there any way you prepare differently, let's say, versus playing Macbeth, playing Spike, playing Zamasu?
Not inside, but with voice acting, it's a lot closer to theater. In theater, your body is that big, and your head is that big, and your eyes are almost invisible. And so in stage, it's really about hanging words in the air to tell a story more than anything else. And when you do, voice work for video games or for cartoons, there is going to be a face. It will be animated, but it's not going to be as expressive as a human face. So a lot of the information of the character, how they're feeling, what the story is doing, all of that has to be put into the voice. And so it's very much like theater.
It's basically trying to convey the emotion the right way. So because some people are not watching your face, you're listening to your voice, so you want to draw that emotion. So it's check this out. Well, just ask me how I'm doing. And I'm going to take two very different. This will be film acting, okay? So I'm going to have two different things going on in my mind. It's going to be very different. So ask me how I'm doing. Hey James, how you doing?
Fine. Ask me again.
Hey James, how you doing?
Fine. One of them is I'm very angry at you. The other is, and I tried to switch quickly, but I couldn't. The other was supposed to be, I'm very happy to be talking to you. And so in film.
The first one was Spike.
Yeah, that was actually the jerk inside that I try not to inflict on the world, frankly. Yeah, but in film acting, it's all about the subtext. You can say anything, but with any words, because the camera is so close that it's going to read your face so well that you can mean anything with any words. But in stage, in voiceover work, it's really about marrying yourself to the meaning of the words and making those sing the way that they're obviously intended to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. Great. Now let's go to Marvel.
Yeah.
Because you've done some stuff for Marvel.
Yeah.
I'm sure people at home have heard of Marvel, maybe. So the Runaways, any possibility that we might see any of those characters or you in any future MCU projects?
That is so far above my pay grade. I don't know, man. Like I used to be a producer and a director, and I know these people are here, and the actors come and go, and we use the actors as necessary, and if they're very good or very friendly, we'll use them more than once. But dude, you know as much as I do about that stuff. What I do know is that the Marvel television properties are separate from the movie properties. The Kevin Feige does the Marvel films, and they are now going into television, quite successfully. And I love those shows. But the stuff that I was part of was a different arm of Marvel. So the possibility of cross-pollination between those two may not be as much, just because the people who do the movies, they're their own team, and they're on their own trajectory, and they have their own way of thinking. And my show wasn't part of that plan, so it would be probably, I would say, surprising to me.
Surprising.
Yeah.
The reason why I ask is because I don't know if you heard, there was the Marvel Netflix series, Daredevil.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
So those are now starting to transition with MCU characters on the series.
Are they going to use Charlie as Daredevil?
So they're saying.
Oh, that's so good.
So they're saying
He is so freaking good.
and the same.
He's so good at fights.
Oh,
he's so good at stunts. Also, Punisher dude. They should totally use him.
John.
Yeah, John Bernthal. Yes, cool dude. Yeah. They
He's
should
great.
totally.
Great
Yeah,
Punisher too.
absolutely. Yeah.
Because they're actually taking the villains from Daredevil and they're going to place them into Hawkeye. And it's going to be the same actors, same characters, same everything.
D'Onofrio is going to do Kingpin?
Yep, on Hawkeye.
Damn straight. He was the best Kingpin I've ever seen in my life. Just amazing. That's very wise. So, okay, maybe less surprising than I would have
maybe less surprising. Maybe there's some
if they need a low-grade douchebag, they know where to go.
So, speaking about superhero culture, do you wish sometimes that some of these classics, like Macbeth or Hamlet, would be more prominent into the pop culture, or do you prefer those staying in theater rather than seeing all these Marvel movies, superheroes all over the place on TV and movies?
No, I mean, I think that taking the themes and some of the elements from Shakespeare is very wise. I think actually Buffy is really Hamlet. It's about a person who gets old enough to realize that the world is messed up. That's a teenager. And when you do, and your eyes are really open to the fact that the world is a very complicated, painful place, do you give up? Or do you take arms against a sea of troubles, and by opposing end, do you try to make the world a better place? And some of us give up in one way or another, and some of us don't. And both Hamlet and Buffy are kind of making the argument it's better to take arms, it's better to try and not give up. And so I'm all for that. I like Shakespeare as he wrote it. I'm kind of a purist that way. I don't even like to take it out of the original setting. Like Shakespeare had 300 years of history where he wanted to put his plays. He put them at the time and the place that he wanted them for a very specific reason. And to change that is kind of, in my mind, dicey.
Sure.
But
you see nowadays some shows like that where they're trying to reimagine things and do it in a different way, in a different spin, try to see if they can get a new crowd. Like He-Man, for example, they did the Masters Universe Revelations, which is supposed to be a direct sequel to the original He-Man from the 80s.
Yeah. And
now they're doing a CGI He-Man that takes place almost like in a futuristic setting.
Yeah. You know, if it works, it works, basically.
Sure.
For me, Shakespeare's kind of on his own there, man. He's like Prince. He's like, don't mess with me. You don't want to do Purple Rain. Don't remake Purple Rain.
I'll tell my lead singer that. Stop playing Purple Rain.
Do you really do? You cover Purple Rain?
We know he does. So all I don't know is like,
don't do it. I'm sorry, I shouldn't.
David, start playing Purple Rain. You heard it from David.
I shouldn't have said it. But like hero movies, I think are important, and this is the thing. I think that there is real heroism in the world. I've experienced heroism by being a parent. I think any time that we sacrifice our time or our money or our sleep or our plans for the day to help somebody else, then that sacrifice qualifies as heroism. And that's the real heroism. And hero movies are a way for storytellers to reach through the screen and say to the audience, I see you. I see what you're giving up. I see what you're sacrificing. You're doing it, man. I value that. And by the way, here's a cape. Why don't you wear it for an hour? Here's an Iron Man suit. Fly around, man. Have fun being a hero, because it's not often fun. And so I think on the biggest level, superhero movies are just a celebration of heroism and sacrifice and helping other people.
That's why I like Daredevil a lot.
Yeah.
Because that was really prominent in the show. It's not always fun.
Yeah.
Because you saw Charlie get his butt kicked all the time.
Oh my God, so beautifully. Yeah. So
at least to wrap it up.
They had a 10-minute. I'm sorry, but a 10-minute single shot fight scene in the third season.
That was in the apartment, correct?
Yeah, that is just mind-blowingly tight on so many levels. You have to be so good. Everyone, the camera, the sound, especially the performers have to be so freaking on their game.
I just want to say on record over here, I've been told that 30 pounds ago I looked like Charlie.
Yes, you do.
I just want to say that on
Yes, you do.
What are you most excited about Fan Expo Dallas?
I'm excited about not being lonely anymore, because I've been in COVID lockdown like everybody else, and I have pined for community. I've pined to be in a room full of people I can talk to. And what Fan Expo does better than anything I can think of is get people in the room together and enjoy each other's company. Safely with masks,
Yep.
Not crowded together too much, but to just get back into life and figure out in this new reality of COVID how we do that. And it's a little different than it used to be, but it's still at the core the same thing. Everyone's beautiful, everyone's safe, and you can be whatever you want to be.
That's right.
Yeah.
Last question. Who, if you come across that person there at Fan Expo, will you have like a complete total freak out moment as far as the celebrities are concerned? Anybody that you are looking forward to seeing or meeting as James, like your big kid on the inside?
Yeah, when I first met Hellboy, this guy's name. Ron Perlman. That was cool. Pee Wee Herman told me that he was a Buffy fan. That was freaking amazing.
That's cool.
There are moments like that. I don't know if I would have a full meltdown, freak down moment, just because I know that we're all just freaking, just scrappy actors who got lucky. Basically, we're just having free lunch. So, but it would be cool to. Any one of the Marvel, like if I saw Chris Evans, it would be hard not to say, "Dude, you rocked Captain America." I thought that was an impossible role. I didn't think that we should be doing Captain America. When the first one came out, I didn't think it was a good time to be putting out America, and he absolutely reminded me of what I love about this country. And I'll never be able to pay that back.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Thanks for taking the time to talk with me.
Right on.
Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you next time.